Guys, peep this. I know the dealio. So you've been training at this amateur boxing club for almost 1.5 to 2 years consistently. Like any other day, you decide to turn up for a session. It's not until you get into the gym that you start to notice that something is off. When you start to look around, you notice that the other boxers are looking at you saying, that's him, that's the one. And this makes you quite agitated and you're wondering, what did I do? And it's at that moment that your coach appears with a serious look in his face, making you even more nervous and agitated, thinking, what have you done? That he utters the words that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Oi, you, yeah, you, listen up. Yeah, it's a British club. You're gonna represent the club in your first amateur boxing bout in 4 weeks, okay? You got 4 weeks to train. So respect yourself, respect the club, and don't get knocked out in your first fight, right? At that moment, you're relieved because 2 weeks ago you were getting papped up in sparring, but I digress. So you're relieved, shocked, but joyful. Then you have a moment of clarity and think, damn, I've actually got to fight. And then you start to think, let me go on YouTube and find out Charles Salbox because he's going to give me that blueprint. And that's where we are now. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I trust life is treating you well and you're having a fantastic day. My name is Charles Salbox, and in this video upload, I'm going to give you the best practices to help you win your first fight. Now, this video is geared towards amateur boxers, but if you are embarking upon a white collar fight, your first fight, or you're a pro boxer looking at your debut, 4 rounds of course, then this video is going to be wholly beneficial for you. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, before I start offloading all of this info and providing you with the demos and the drills, let me give you some assumptions for the video. So the first thing that I'll assume is that your weight is on point. You're going to meet weight, and also your nutrition, you know what to eat, and you are injury free. And then the next thing that I'll declare is that you're training for 6 days out of the 7 days in the week. You get 1 rest day. So yes, it's going to be tough, but you are training like a professional, but you are an amateur boxer. Now guys, the first thing that I'm going to give you is perhaps the most important thing of the whole video, the entire video. Now that is going to be your structured roadmap for your training game plan. Now, the reason why this is important is because it lets you know what you should be doing every week. Every week is going to be different, and this gives you the confidence in knowing that the preparation of your plan gives you the development that you need for the fight. But you need discipline to make sure that you get through everything and you are accountable. You remain accountable with your training. And I'm going to touch on things such as your warm-up and your cardio that are related to your training sessions, and also your development of fitness over the entire 4 weeks. So let's get straight into the 4-week plan that you need to follow to win your first fight. So guys, in week 1 of your structured training, what you'll start to do is consolidate and hone some of the techniques that you've developed over the 1.5 to 2 years of your beginner's stage training. This will be because in your fight strategy, you will require some specificity, and your sparring will become more specific and also skilled. This will be because your coach will want you to become more familiar with some of the conditions of sparring. So like holding the center of the ring, dealing with the adversity on the ropes, and this will be generally to improve your decision-making skills when you enter the ring. Also, the cardiovascular training that you'll be going through this week will be set aside to fitness boosting so that you can deal with the energy requirements of the intense training during the entire 4-week period. In week 2 of training, you'll have a clear idea of the combinations and techniques that you'll try to use in the conditions of sparring. In this particular video, I'll be going through those drills with you. You'll be going through high intensity sparring whilst trying to match those conditions. And at this stage, your fitness levels will be strong, close to peak fitness. Now, in week 3 of your training, this will be your last week of sparring. So your sparring will be closely resembling how your fight will be. It will have the same intensity, the speed, the punch volume, your explosive power, your sharp reaction, and your measured movement will be closely resembling how you will be in your fight. You will also include high level pad work to ensure that you are punching with good precision and you are landing your punches in the scoring locations across your opponent. Now, also in this week, you'll have peak fitness, so you'll be working on your speed a lot more in your cardiovascular training. Now we've got to week 4, which is fight week. This will be the last week of your training, and your training sessions will drastically reduce in duration. You'll be doing 3 rounds of high intensity shadow boxing that is at performance level, and you'll also be using the pad work to reinforce how you should be moving. You'll also complement this with some bag work. You'll be using reaction drills to make sure that you are sharp neurologically. And at this stage, you should be at peak fitness. So you'll feel the lightest that you've ever felt, and you feel also the fastest that you've ever felt. And that is the 4-week structured roadmap of your training game plan. Now guys, what I want to do at this stage is start to drill some of the techniques and combinations that I want you to try and focus in your conditions of sparring and in your fight. Now, we can't just start to build our techniques and combinations from anything. We need a fight strategy to help us consolidate those techniques. We won't build our fight strategy, however, around an opponent, because at this stage where we are looking to go on into our first fight, our opponent is probably looking to go on into his first fight, and his fighting style won't relatively be known. So what we need to do is base it around the judging criteria. Now in the UK, the judging favors aggression, and also what we can do is base our fight strategy on general principles of fighting. So hit and don't get hit. Now with this in mind, the first strategic point that we want to bring in is remain defensively responsible and defend to counter. Now the second strategic point that will be included in our fight strategy will be attack to form aggression, attack to counter, and attack to preserve distance. And finally, our third strategic point will be distance management. Now these 3 key components of our fight strategy are going to help us develop the drills for our techniques and combinations that we're going to use in our fight. Okay guys, now we need to start performing some of the drills that's going to help you move along in your sessions. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is the warm-up drills. Now, a lot of you are starting on the skipping rope and also the treadmill. That's fine, but what you also need to do along with that physical work is help your neurological side. Now, you need to start doing agility drills, balance drills, and also coordination drills. So we're going to start with an agility drill. So that will involve your sidestepping, your understanding how to change direction with one foot. So if I push this in this direction with this foot, I decelerate, I stop, and then I push back. And then I come here, and then with this foot, I push this way, I stop with this foot, and then go back to the equilibrium stance position, which is the square position here. So the drill is like this. Ta, 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 ta. And you want to start developing a flow, okay? And the other agility drill, which is more the square lateral movement. So you're moving in a circle around the ring, and then you use one foot to change direction. Now, what you want to do is off a prompt from the whistle, you change direction, or a clap. This will be done by your coach. Now guys, let's progress onto a balance drill. We're gonna stand in the square position for this. And what we're going to do is raise the heels off the ground. So we've got more buoyancy, got a bit of flexion. And what we want to do is perform a square check step. So what we're going to do, we're going to do almost a side step. We're going to rotate by 90 degrees and look towards the center line. Boom. Okay. There is making sure we come back to this position, push out with this foot, and we use this foot to make sure that we're balanced and we're looking 90 degrees this way. Okay, from the side I'll show you. Okay, that is the square check step drill. Now we're going to move on to a familiar one, but we're going to do this from the stance. So this is probably one of the only drills that I'll actually adopt the boxing stance position. So we're in this position, and what we're doing is pivoting with the lead foot, but what we want to do is make sure that we push from the back foot, but we do not lean over the lead foot when we do the pivot. I'll show you from the side. As you can see, I'm closer, my head is closer to my back foot than my lead foot. What I want to do is push around like that and make sure that my head does not approach my lead foot when I do this. This is ensuring that I have good balance when I pivot and my head is not approaching my opponent as I perform the pivot. And I want to catch my weight on the back foot with the heel raised every time I perform the pivot. So you can do this with your hands up, your hands down. This is just a warm-up drill. Now we're going to move on to coordination drills. Now the purpose of coordination in boxing is to make sure that your limbs are connected. It is the case that your feet form the base of your movement even before you need to use your hands. So your hands need to be connected or coordinated to your feet and not the other way around. So you shouldn't be trying to use your hands and then ask your feet to catch up. It should be the case that you're moving your feet and then your hands have to find a place to sit on the movement of your feet. So what we're going to do first of all, from the square position, we're going to have ipsilateral and contralateral movement, moving forwards and backwards. So when we move forward, we're having contralateral movement. So that means opposite limbs moving at the same time. So we step, rotate with the body, and then we extend the lead arm. There, there, there. Then we go backwards and we move in an ipsilateral fashion. So the same limbs on the same side move. Okay, so you can see my lead hand goes forward as my left foot goes back, and now my rear hand is going to move forwards as my right foot goes back. And now as I come forward, contralateral, ipsilateral. This is going to help us when we need to perform counter-attack movements, change an angle. Now we're going to do it in a lateral sense. So again, you guys, we need to develop some flow with this. So we can either move ipsilateral this way or contralateral this way. So ipsilateral, same side, then contralateral, opposite. Okay, now ipsilateral and contralateral can go this way as well. Contralateral. Okay, so you can see I just perform a small slip to change the phase of the pattern of my hands and my feet. So now you might want to start developing a bit of flow. So you can throw uppercuts, you can step, slip, ta, 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 ta. Okay, that's gonna help you when you need to move fast and you need to be agile and you need to be nimble. Okay guys, so now we'll start to move into the technical session where we perform drills for our fight strategy. So our first one was defense, remaining defensively responsible. Now, an issue that arises when we move around the ring, especially when we pivot, is that we tend to use our hands to pivot, okay? Boxers tend to do this when they pivot, okay? Using the momentum that they get in the hands to allow them to generate that torque. What we want to do is rely on the back foot to push ourselves around while we create a pivot point on our lead foot, and then keep our hands and torso in the same fixed position that our boxing stance demands. Now, the only thing that we will do is actually take our hands and use that to track our opponent. That is how we're going to keep defensively responsible. So the two things that we want to do when we pivot is push with the back foot and turn our lead foot and our lead hand at the same time, and then let the body follow. We want to use our hands to track our opponent. So if our opponent moves across here and we want to turn, we turn our foot and our hands, and then we reposition our body after we push with the rear foot. So again, watch my hand and my lead foot. They turn at the same time and then I push. Okay, turn at the same time, then I push. As my opponent moves across, my lead hand and my lead foot turn, and then I push. Okay, now what I'm doing here is ensuring that I'm not using my hands to turn for the pivot, but I'm turning my hands in the pivot so that I can track my opponent. Now, the next thing that we want to do is improve our slips. So when we're in our boxing stance, what we want to do is make sure that when we slip, we're moving not forwards, but simply to the side. Okay, there to the side. So a lot of boxers, what they tend to do as a mistake is that when they perform the slip, they lean forward. Okay, and that leaves them susceptible to an uppercut. So what we want to do when we're performing the slip is move to the side. Okay, that's going to rely on some hip movement from the side here, and then we're using our hands to protect the side of our face, which is vulnerable to punches. Now, if I want to perform slips as I move, I can do them on the go. So I can step and slip there. Okay, if I move this way, change the pattern of this. You don't have to do it in the same pattern. You can slip twice without the hands as well. If I just do this just by showing you where my head is going, slip, 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 don't slip, slip, slip. So that is how you remain defensively responsible when you are performing your slips and your pivots. There's going to be 4 ways that I can counter the orthodox jab from this position. When I receive a jab from my opponent, what I want to do is catch it with my backhand and then throw my jab back. Boom. Okay. Now what I want to do is make sure that as soon as I catch the jab, that triggers the jab from me. So ta-ta, ta-ta. And I keep my lead hand loose so that I can fire that out with explosive speed. Ta-ta, ta-ta, okay, ta-ta, okay. And with the back foot, I push myself forward if I just want to get a bit of distance. So I'm in my boxing stance, then I can catch the jab and then throw the backhand back. So again, ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. And my lead hand becomes the defense now. Ta-ta, ta-ta. I don't reach out to catch the jab. I let the jab come to me. I turn the palm at this angle and then I slide the backhand over the top of my opponent's jab. So here, ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. The next way involves, first of all, slipping and evading. But this form of defense doesn't require any contact. So we allow the momentum of our opponent to go past us. So when the opponent throws a jab, what I can do, I can push with my lead foot in this direction, creating a step, and then throw my jab down the center. Ta, ta, from the back, ta, ta, ta. Okay, the reason why I'm stepping off to the side is because I want to get to the blind side of my opponent. From this, I have an angle that I can either continue the attack or simply step back, creating range between me and my opponent. So that would be the third way that I can attack my opponent. Now, what I can do, slip on the other side without footwork and then throw overhand. Now, typically slipping on the blind side is preferable, but where you are slipping on the inside of your opponent, it's wise to attack at the same time, because if your opponent throws the jab and then you slip and then you punch, you have to be fast at performing that sequence. If you are not, they are likely to throw the backhand at you before you throw your lead hand. So what you want to do is throw the overhand at the same time. So you slip on the inside, boom. Okay, you throw the overhand over their jab. Ta, ta. Okay, remembering, slip to the side, ta, ta. And that is how you're defending responsibly and then also countering off your defense. Now guys, I did mention that one of the key elements of our fight strategy would be to consider the judging. Now, what we want to do is attack to form aggression. This is going to be a very important part of our strategy. So one of the combinations that I'm going to use to attack and impose aggression upon my opponent is to use a 1-1-2. Now the 1-1-2 combination is very good because it gives us two chances to use the lead hand before we commit to the backhand. So we want to take two small steps with the lead foot and then let the back foot follow. So ta, ta, ta. Okay, notice that I don't retract the lead hand too much in between the successive jabs. So ta, ah, ah. Okay, here, ta, ah, ah. Ta, ah, ah. And I leave the lead hand here in this position so that it's closer to my opponent. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. And that is the 1-1-2. Try to make sure that when you're performing this movement, you're not performing over a long distance. That is going to slow the sequence of each phase down. What you want to do is get closer to your opponent and make sure you only have small steps to take, because that will mean that every successive punch takes a shorter amount of time to close or to finish. And then that will mean that the 1-1-2 combination happens a lot quicker. Now, the next movement that I'm going to use for aggression on my opponent is the feint and then the 1-2. So what we typically want to do is surprise our opponent with this combination. So we're here, side step, feint, pa, pa. Okay, again, side step, feint, pa, pa. Limit the feint to the lead foot. Ta, ta, ta. Okay, as you can see, I leave my lead hand in that position close to my opponent. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. And that is the 1-2 after a feint and also a side step. Now, the next thing that we can do to confuse our opponent is to use our attacks for counter attacks. So what we can do here for the first combination is use the step jab and then a retreating counter cross. So we step forward with the jab, come back, and then when our opponent comes, boom, we step back with the counter cross. Ta, ta. Ta, ta. Ta, ta. Ta, ta. And that is a step jab followed by a counter cross. Now the next combination that we can follow this up with is a step jab and then a 1-2. We perform the step jab, boom, our opponent comes, boom, boom. Then we throw the 1-2. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. And that is the sequence of attacking with counter-attacking. Now the next thing that we want to do is perform a 1-2, preserving distance, so long range 1-2, and then thinking about our exit. So the first one would be a 1-2 and then a pivot, then a pivot. The next one would be a roll, so 1-2, then roll. The next one would be a side step, 1-2, side step. The next one would be a pull, 1-2, and then pull. And then the next one would be a back step. So 1-2, and then back step. What we're trying to do is preserve distance. The idea is that we move our feet to either a vantage point where we can strike our opponent from distance again, or we exit and then create range so our opponent's efforts for attack are prevented. Now guys, the third component is distance management. Now this is going to be about the lead hand touching with our opponent's lead hand, creating space and making sure that we're using our lead hand as a measuring stick. We can't just keep it out there, but we can always use our lead hand to touch the opponent's lead hand, and then make sure that we've got good footwork as well and varied footwork. We're performing our pivots, we're performing our feints, we're performing our pendulum step, and we're performing all the movements that allow us to move around the ring so that we've got distance in mind when we have our opponent who's looking to be aggressive. We don't want to be in the line of fire when our opponent is intending to use aggression. With that being said, you also still need to be prepared to fight at short range. That will also be another element of your distance management. So guys, just as we come to a close, I just want to leave a small remark on the cardio aspect of the training. I'm going to leave a small card here as well so you can see the types of runs that you should be typically looking to do. Now, in the first week, what we're trying to do is focus our cardiovascular training on increasing the lung capacity. And then in the second week, what we're trying to do is increase the efficiency of our lungs to help us with the high intensity demands of the training. And then in the third week, what we're trying to do is reach peak fitness. We're trying to hit that peak fitness in the third week. Now in the fourth week, which is fight week, we're trying to use our cardiovascular training to help us maintain our peak fitness. Now, obviously, to the side here, we have all the different types of training that we're doing for our cardiovascular training, which is long runs, medium distance runs, and sprints, and even shadow boxing. We've come to the end now. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to add on to this video in a follow-up, and let me know also if you've enjoyed watching the video by hitting that like button, and please share the video to anyone you feel that may be benefiting from this content, obviously if they're looking to go on to have their first fight. And guys, remember, stay committed, stay disciplined. This is the blueprint that is going to help you win your first fight. So until my next one, peace out.